Hello. Hi. How's everyone doing today? So, I'm going to catch up some laundry. And while I'm doing that, I'd like to talk about taxes. A lot of people, I don't know if they know this or not, but it doesn't matter if you're a small farm. I got a horrible glare. It doesn't matter if you're a small farm, but you can write off everything on your farm or homestead, whatever you want to call it. But you can write it off. It's not gonna they're not gonna hold it against you because you only made, 700 bucks or something from sales. You can deduct all your costs. So it really helps with getting your max refund back. It does cost more to run the program. I use TurboTax when I do our taxes, but any of them you'd have to do the business edition. But I'm gonna catch up on some laundry. Um, we have to run the higher paid one anyways for our programming for taxes because we have a rental house. So I'm already spending the higher amount on TurboTax anyways for the small business edition. Hey Drifter, how you doing? But yeah, if you can deduct everything on your house. Hey, that's awesome. I'm doing pretty good. I'm just trying to catch up on some laundry. But when it comes to our taxes, I write off everything. I write off a portion of our house as the office. I also write off any expenses I had, whether it be running. Hey, Cooper Family Homestead, how you doing? But I write off everything when it comes to any building supplies, anything like that. My expenses usually surpass my revenue by quite a bit. But if I weren't to do that, our refund would suck. So, just a little food for thought. You can always write off everything. I mean, I write off the garbage for the house because I don't want garbage on the farm. Does this require a license or any kind of tax ID? I don't really know what you mean, Drifter, but when it comes to TurboTax, they have all the licensings. And I'm just kind of letting you guys know what I do when it comes to our taxes, which I still haven't filed yet. I usually wait till the end of this month to file just to make sure I have all the paperwork. Last time or not last time, but oh no, it does not require a business license. So when I input it into TurboTax, they ask me for, uh, any other incomes or revenues. And what I do is I just write down the farm and any revenue I got from that. And then TurboTax takes over from there. So since it's a small business, I don't require a a licensing. But yeah, I always keep all my receipts. Anything I buy from Tractor Supply, Home Depot, Menards, Lowe's. I just wrote off the pole barn this year because we bought it last year. I wrote it off for last year. And that was a huge expense, which lowered our overall gross and gave us more back. See, we don't have the solar credit. We don't qualify. But that's just what TurboTax tells us. We don't qualify for the solar rebate or the energy efficient rebate. They told us for the energy efficient one, we made too much money. So, whatever. Oh, yes, you can write that off. You can definitely write off the barn. We wrote off our whole barn, and then actually, what it'll do is it'll depreciate over time. So, they take a portion of it this year and say, okay, well, this is what you have. Oh, I'm sure it would work in Texas. But to do the program through TurboTax, it's roughly about, I think I spent $210 for the programming and for all the audit defense. So we have all the bells and whistles on TurboTax. So if anything were to come up, yeah, TaxX should have the same type of program, but I'm just comfortable with TurboTax. I'm getting notifications on my screen. But yeah, TaxAct. I used TaxAct when I was before I ever got married. It was because it was easy to simple file with them. But now that I have to do quite the substantial amount of entering, it's nice to have someone there to ask questions that's licensed and knows how the system works. That's the advantage of TurboTax and H&R Block is they usually have the live consultations. But I write off everything, and then we have the rental house, and that also gets a lot written off on it. Some years I can't get it to. My goal is to get a zero net on that. So I tried not to make money on it. The idea of our rental is it's an investment. So when we want the money, we sell it. The idea is to get them to pay for all of it, but not to increase how much we pay in taxes. Hey, that's really awesome that you got everything back. But unfortunately, we didn't qualify for the solar stuff. First of all, we didn't buy any solar panels or anything solar. But and then the energy efficient, that was, they said we made too much money to qualify for that one. Green Homesteads with Goldens. Hi, how you doing? When you improve your rental, you pay it all in one, or does it take years to gain the depreciation back? Well, it really depends on what you're purchasing. So on the rental property, we actually write off certain things to depreciate over time if they're over X amount. So we actually just put in, we upgraded that house to have a furnace instead of a pellet stove. And then so we had that cost for someone to install that. Then we had the cost of putting in the propane tank. And we also include propane pricing in rent. So we get to deduct that from our overall. Wow, 30K on the system. That's huge. Eventually, I would like to go to those Tesla solar panels on our house, but I don't want to do it until the roof's bad. So, anyways, back to the rental. The we're still depreciating value from when we installed the furnace, but that should be up next year. The final little bit of it should run out next year, but we also have um, other sources to do. So, like this year, we're either going to put in a garage door opener or a AC unit for the rental. And that's going to come down to whatever the renter prefers out of the two. But, that's just something we get to write off, and it takes away from how much we made. Now, the only problem with us is we have to determine which receipts from Home Depot and Lowe's are for the farm and for the rental. But overall, it's not too bad. It's a long process for us to do our taxes, but it's a lot easier than taking it to somebody and trying to explain to them what the situation is, rather than just entering it in myself and then asking, why is this coming back flagged? Yeah, it does get pretty confusing, but when you file with TurboTax and do their business and stuff, their business program on it, they actually give you, I think it's QuickBooks or something like that, and you can just scan your receipt and right then say where that receipt is supposed to be allocated. Now, one of my goals for this year is to get better at doing that. You get in a rush and you just throw it in your pocket and then you forget that it was in your pocket. So I want to get better at doing that. But oh, it's oh yeah, I forget all the time, and then now I got a pile of receipts sitting in the cupboard. Cause my wife's like, "What's this receipt for?" And I said, "Taxes." Because I really enjoy crunching the numbers on the taxes and making sure that everything is going according to plan. It's not my wife's favorite subject to do. She likes math, but she doesn't like taxes. However, I don't think anybody really likes taxes. I just like crunching the numbers. Um, but yeah, but when it comes to the farming, you can write off almost everything. I write off our electric bill because we have to use the electricity to run water, to water the animals, to water the garden. I write off our. I write off a lot of stuff. Um, Basically, if you can think of it, I probably write it off. The only thing I don't write off is food. Can't really write off food. I write off feed for the animals. I write that off, but I can't really write off the food. I write off our vehicles, because they're mainly used for farm. So that really helps out. Oh yeah, I write off the gas in the vehicles. Anytime I go somewhere, I write down the mileage, and whenever I fill up, I save that receipt. So especially if I'm running out to the rental, which is 45 minutes from our house, over by my parents. Yeah, I write off. But yeah, I have to write off the gas because it's 45 minutes from the house to the rental. Now we're half tempted to sell that rental and buy a different one closer to our house. The reason we have that one is because uh, that's the first house I bought. Um, I don't know how to subtitle. Hey, Homestead Odyssey, how you doing? Is there a way to subtitle on that? Let's see. Can I add subtitles? I don't know. I don't really know how to add the subtitles in. If someone knows, write it in the comments and I'll read it. I'll try and talk slower, but yeah, I didn't think you could on a live. I know you can have it populate when it's done, and if someone watches it later, they can read the subtitles. But hey, look at Cooper's back. But oh, where was I going? I just totally lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, yesterday was really awkward to be alive. Um, I'm gonna try and get better at that. It was super strange because the lag in it. Yeah, that lag really throws you off because you're waiting for the reply. you know, they say, hey, how's it going? And you're like, great. How are you? And then it's like 30 seconds later and it populates. And I don't know how to get rid of that lag. Anyways, I'm trying to figure out where I was going with that whole where I was at. Yeah, they are. They are definitely scary. Um, I know I cut that one off super fast because I was like, I ran out of stuff to say. You get going and you totally lose your train of thought. So definitely got to try and work on that. Well, we have really good internet. So um, we push about, I think it's 120, no, 114 megabytes per second on our internet. And our upload speed is only 14 megabytes per second. And that has a lot to do with our router system. So we have high speed internet. We used to have a really bad router. So I went with my son because we got tired of lagging. He would play video games and I would try and watch YouTube. And it would, oh yeah, Comcast 150. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a good connection. That's phenomenal. The fastest I've gotten ours to read was 123 with an upload of 32, which I didn't understand why it was such a big difference one day. But see, yeah, we use the modem, but not their router. The router they gave us was junk. But that's another expense that I get to write off next year because I have a router that reaches all the way out to the pole barn. And for the YouTube, if I ever monetize, I'll write that off as a farm expense to help with YouTube since it's on the farm. You know, so I can write off all expenses portrayed to YouTube from it since the whole channel is about the farm. But yeah, we always have a lot of expenses, and our revenue for the farm is not very high. The most we've gotten in revenue was when we had the 14 pigs. And we got a good portion for that one. We do the same, but no write off. Dang it. Well, when you start making money, when you monetize their drifter, you can write off all your cable and your electric because you need it to YouTube. So all you gotta do is get to that earning $1. But yeah, that's the whole point of this live, was just to explain. I didn't know if everyone knew you could write off almost everything, especially when you have the farm. And there's a special thing to select. I can't think of what it's called off the top of my head. But yeah, can't think of what the credit is called off the top of my head, but it's for farming, agricultural, and a couple of other business types that allows you to, so say you made 100,000 in farming, you can actually click the one type of tax credit and it only taxes at a lower percent because of agricultural needs. It really wasn't beneficial for us to be in that bracket this year. I mean, I put us in that bracket because that's what we are, but it didn't really change our refund status or how much we owed in taxes because we were in a net loss this year because of the pole barn, which will probably be a net loss for a couple of years. Yeah, I would definitely look into it, Cooper. But yeah, I mean, I would like to do the energy efficient, the solar credit. I just, that's a huge investment to jump into. Hey, morning, Slick. I'm curious. Thank you. I definitely find this really awkward and odd. I really enjoy watching shit happens.